Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we're back with another live stream of Hearthstone. Starting a little late today. We've got Trevor on the chat already asking what deck you're playing. Well, let me get started and let's find out. Since we did 3 quests and we only needed to do 2 quests for we did 3 quests on Wednesday when we really only needed to do 2, which was a good move, and it's probably what I should do every week. I only have 1 daily quest right now on the European. At some point around 6, 7, 8 in the evening for me, there will pop up another quest, but I probably won't get it done. So that just leaves me with this 40 gold quest to play 30 rogue cards. We could come over here and let's just see if we can do this pretty quickly. These are all rogue cards, so Custom Rogue 2 will work just fine. Tavern Brawl wise, we've already gotten our victories, so we might end up doing solo adventures on the Americans account because this isn't gonna take too long. We still need to look at the Asian account. Just play ranked play, I imagine. Trying to get up to those ranked wins. And we might as well play ranked standard. Not that I'm really trying to get up high in the ranking ladder. I just want to get the 20 to get the card back, and then after that point, it's not worth my effort. There is a significant amount of news. A lot of it came from a mini Nintendo Direct that kind of came out of nowhere, if we're gonna be honest. Let's see, not a ton of stuff happening for me. I managed to finish playing the 2014 remake of Striker, which is effectively the exact, almost a beat for beat copy of the Sega Genesis version of Striker, from best that I can tell, because I looked up a speedrun for that Sega Genesis of Striker. Except for the fact that there was actually a lot of content that was in the Genesis version and not in the 2014 PC version, which that seems pretty crazy. Let's see. I guess I can do this.
Here we go.
This.
Tango.
Like, theoretically, I'm not trying to win. I'm just trying to play cards. Let's see.
Out of my jungle.
Scrolling down my Twitter feed to see if any new news has come out since the last time I looked at my Twitter feed, which really wasn't that long ago.
Here we go.
I'll just end the turn there. Yeah, so I need to get into reading the news in a second. And
Out of my
we're in a very weird position. I say that phrase quite a lot, where I may have more news than actual gameplay. That really is the actual case. It's usually the exact opposite, even if I think it isn't.
Here we go.
Keep on scrolling. A lot of news. A lot of news.
dare summon me.
You see with Trevor. The game effects volume is kinda drowning me out. Okay. I keep tinkering with this. We'll see how that is. Is that any better?
This is our town, scrub.
Also, in the
Here
meanwhile,
we go.
I heard from a source I'm choosing to believe that having mid-roll ads on YouTube gets your videos more promoted. So, I don't know. That is now the default, and it's been applied to all my old videos. That kind of sucks. I fully agree. It sucks. It's not how I would like to present my content, particularly as I'm recording content in 2018 to only be 30 minutes long. The idea of Google automatically, effectively forcing me to put in 2-3 mid-roll ads. It's not what I want. It's not what I want at all. It's something I would definitely consider taking off once I had like a Patreon or something that could thrive and survive by itself. I would be more than happy to cut Google and YouTube out of making money off of my channel.
Done.
But in the meantime, I've got to try and get my channel to grow. If it's ever going to be successful, I have to do everything that even has a slight chance of improving how the YouTube algorithm suggests videos. And so mid-roll ads are now on. I apologize. Let me know if you see any during the live stream, because I'm not exactly sure how that's going to work. I imagine what it will do is it will just decide to put some in after a certain amount of time. Trevor says, yeah, that seems to be better. Haha, thank you. And then we have a new person that just says, hi. I don't know how to pronounce this name.
I will fight with honor.
And then
Watch
Trevor says,
your back.
actually maybe a little lower, sorry. There's a little lag time when you see my comments. Yes, there's always lag, unfortunately. I have done as much as YouTube will allow me to do. As far as trying to reduce the lag, but I can't do much more. The new person just says, just say era. Sure. Okay, era. E-R-A. Trevor said before that, I love your dedication to the channel. Yep. I think everybody, but me personally, also, their art, their creation, their YouTube channel should be thought of as a piece of art and creation, not as some kind of burger you sell at Burger King. It's not a mass-produced product, even though I have made like 5,000 videos, and many would argue that is a mass-produced product. Every single video is an effort to be creative. It's an effort to criticize the games and be informative. I'm not here just to make a buck on this channel. It was never the original thought. By default, when I started this channel, I just wanted it to be a place where there was a historical record of the games I was playing anyways. And then I also realized that I have some experience in video games. I've been playing them for 30 years, and I have opinions on video games. Maybe they're not agreeable opinions, but I still have them. Let's see. Let's take this one. And I'm gonna have to struggle. So we'll do this, this, and this. So yes, there is a dedication to my channel to keep it going, to try and grow it, to make sure it doesn't get copyright stricken or content ID stricken or in some other way destroyed by YouTube. There is this chance. Some other way YouTube will decide to destroy small channels. YouTube, if not to get into the whole Logan Paul thing again, but I mean, YouTube really shows its hands when it brought in a bunch of Viners like Logan Paul and gave them special treatment, and is still giving them special treatment. A lot of it really comes straight down to giving Disney special treatment and big corporations special treatment that they don't deserve and shouldn't have. Let's see. I can hit this. And let's see if this... Air says, I just got into Hearthstone again. How do you recommend I get back into it? Well, if you're getting back into Hearthstone, you're at least a step ahead of having to go through all the awful setup. If you have all the basic cards, which you probably don't because I've been playing for 3 years, and I still don't have all the basic classic cards, not basic cards, but classic cards. The goal, in my opinion, is still to just try to have a complete collection of classic cards. Those are the only cards that aren't going to get banned eventually, or at least in general aren't going to be banned. So having that complete collection is the thing to do. After that, I would say buy everything you can get on the solo things. Do the Kobolds and Catacombs single player. Do the Knights of the Frozen Throne single player. I'm not super hot on the Kobolds and Catacombs cards, so I wouldn't buy a lot of packs with that. I would kind of save up until the next expansion. I'm not sure that's particularly going to prove to be helpful, but like, I'd go with Classic first, certainly, and then further on that. Get into ranked play and get up to rank 20 to get some card backs if you care about card backs. Get into arena play. They've made a slight change in arena play, so if you want to do one of those, that would be a good way. Particularly if you want to learn the new cards, playing arena will let you play with the new cards. Do the Tavern Brawl while you can to get a free card pack. Try to get as many friends as possible. I accept all friend requests, so you can friend me, RYDO number 1423. If you haven't been around for a while, you can now do daily quests with your friends, which, if you've got a good collection of friends that come on and play, that makes getting the rather difficult the daily quests a lot more doable.
Here we go.
I'm gonna lose almost certainly, but whatever. Just playing cards. Trevor says, that's cool thought process on it. I've always wanted to do it too. It's cool that you're so chill with how you do things. A lot of respect as a fellow artist, bro. Thank you, Trevor.
Reporting for duty.
It's only gonna get harder to do anything on YouTube, so if you do want to do it, I would recommend anybody to start doing it as quick as possible. And you don't have to publish your videos. I mean, I'm in a very weird position where there is a major desire / need for this to actually be a career. But if you were already working a job or going to a school, you can have a lot of videos and just make them unpublished or private and just make a record that way. You could build up and schedule things to air like a year from now, and then have a collection. When starting my channel in particular, I started with just doing like 1 hour videos of The Binding of Isaac Rebirth, I think, and I just kind of obsessively grew from that point, and kept adding and kept adding to the point where I just eventually burnt myself out because I was doing too much. I need to just play these cards, don't I? Since I'm gonna lose anyways. It's really hard to tell if anybody new will succeed on YouTube. YouTube in the past has been like, there's some major successful people that came and went, and there's really no consistency there. But I'm not sure if that's the way it's going to go now. And with that, I haven't covered any of the news, which is fine. And here's the second quest, is get some Shaman victories. So let's go ahead and just play this Overload Shaman card. Trevor says cubes, Coke cubes low. I have a good bit of classic cards, just legendaries, so I don't know if I got to deal with the whole getting rid of cards after 2 years. Yeah, he's probably, Era is probably saying that he's just missing legendaries, which is about where I am. I don't know, got to deal with the whole getting rid of cards after 2 years. So Era hasn't been even playing since they added the wild. So you have been gone for quite a while. So in that thought, yeah, maybe you slowly open some of the kobolds and catacombs things, but you might suggest getting the next expansion. You've certainly missed out by leaving Hearthstone on some expansions, but there's really nothing you can do about that. I imagine Activision Blizzard will eventually get greedy and re-release old cards, either with different art or the same art. I don't know if this Overload deck can actually win. You can buy old card packs off the Battle.net application, but not actually in the store in Hearthstone. So there is a way to go back if you really wanted to and get the old cards. Theoretically, the best thing you could do, and I'm not suggesting you actually do this, would be to spend a lot of money. Like, spend 400 card packs worth of money to get all the cards on Kobolds and Catacombs, and then go back to some of the older cards and do that. Build up your deck so you could play in Wild instead of Standard, and then you can have a crazier time that will probably be more entertaining. But that's a ridiculous thing to suggest, so instead just stick to Standard, play your basic cards, play the most recent expansions, and not deal with it. Somebody who has a Japanese name says, could you tell me how to get the free legendary weapon? I've been playing for a while and I haven't got it. I don't remember how you got the free legendary weapon. I think you had to log in on a specific week. I think you've probably lost that. The only thing I could suggest there is buy one pack of Kobolds and Catacombs, buy some of the packs of the older expansions, and see if that somehow triggers something. I don't think it particularly is going to, but if you didn't get it, there's really nothing else I can suggest. It's possible you did get it and you missed it, but let's see, moving on. The chat is moving fast, and see, this is the craziness. Either this chat it's got 3 new people, it looks like, on the chat, unless Trevor's not new. Maybe he's not. And this seems to be directly related to me adding mid-roll ads. Like, already I'm seeing new people suggested. See, Trevor said, I will always try to get Discover cards to play cards I don't have because I don't like playing Arena. Just preference, but Discover in Wild can be a lot of fun because you never know what you get. That is one way to play. It's unfortunately Discover cards generally are 1 mana at least more expensive than they should be, because you'll have to spend at least 1 mana to discover something, then you'll have to spend that much money, that much extra mana to actually summon that card. There is a new thing in Kobolds and Catacombs called Recruit, which does something slightly different, and there's a summon phrase that's been around for a while. Era asks what's my battle tag. It's in the description, but it's also here. RYDO number 1423. The Japanese name says, did you get the free legendary weapon? I definitely did get a free legendary weapon a long time ago, but not anything in the past month. Era says, I don't know what that weapon was. It was it wasn't a specific weapon, it was a random weapon you got when one of the expansions came out. Kobolds and Catacombs, I think. So, like, you got one random weapon. Trevor says, I think you had to play within a certain time period. Yeah, that's what I think. Everyone apparently got a legendary weapon. And then Air says, oh, I'm FTP as well. I don't know what FTP stands for. It's other than File Transfer Protocol. Okay, I probably missed it. It doesn't matter, I'll just add you and sub. Thanks for telling me. Okay, thanks. Trevor said, I stumbled on you a while ago, I just didn't ever have the time to watch a live stream and stuff. If Trevor goes FTP, what is that, lol? Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, I'm a control player, so it comes with the territory. Free to play. Oh yeah, free to play. That I suppose could be what FTP stands for. Trevor goes, oh, duh. Sorry. Well, Trevor, don't feel bad because I was confused too. Yeah. These new cards here that came with Kobolds and Catacombs, where they are upgradable cards are kind of nice. The quest cards that came out in a previous expansion are kind of nice. The hero replacement cards of Knights of the Frozen Throne are kind of nice. If you were going to go back and get some of the cards that are going to be wild for a special wild deck, like these are what you would want to get. Things that upgrade via actions, like this one upgrades every time you overload a certain number of mana crystals. Let's play this. Then do this. I got lucky by summoning that, so will do more spell damage. So, at first this was summon one copy of a friendly minion. I've overloaded it and upgraded it once, now it summons 2. If I do one more overload, it will summon 3, which 3 copies of this guy would be rather nice. There you go. Person with the Japanese name typed his number, but he didn't type his name, so unless I have to copy and paste this this Japanese characters to add you, that's not gonna work for very many people. Like, cause I don't know if the dots are part of your name on the outside or what. So I would recommend you retype that if you want people to add you. Also, it's helpful. I play on the Americas by default, but right now I'm playing on the European account. It's all the same idea, but it is helpful if you mention which of the servers you're playing on, whether you're playing the America server, the European server, or the Asian server. That way people should know. Now for normal people, whatever your default server is, you should probably play it. In fact, I think for the most part, if you speak English at all, you're probably fine just playing on the Americas server, even if you're in European areas. It might give you a slower connection speed, but on Hearthstone, having a slower connection speed often leads to you getting some free victories. Let's see. I wish I could. I guess it doesn't really matter. Let's see if I overload. Like if I do this first, that's fine. And then end the turn. So you can see how a card like this, properly played, could have changed the course of victory, but it didn't. I could have also played this, made this a 7, killed this, and then he may have only been able to do some damage. Trevor says, "Be right back." That's alright, you don't need to notify me when people leave the chat and come right back, or anything like that. Unless you're specifically playing me, that's about the only time I need that kind of feedback. Alright, so that's probably not a Shaman deck that's gonna work. Let's go over here just to cover it a little bit better. So, like Kobolds, I think goes into Wild in 2 years, whereas like Old Gods and Karazhan and Gadgetzan and Unguru, I think, are all very, very close to going into Wild. And League of Explorers Grand Tournament, Blackrock Mountain, Goblins vs. Gnomes, Nyxramus, and some of the basic cards that have been just nerfed or banned have gone into this Hall of Fame stuff. Basic cards are the ones you earn just by playing the game. Classic cards are the ones you want a complete set because they never gonna go in the wild. But on these Kobold cards, these are the things you want. Things that can upgrade themselves. There's no like label on these kind of cards. And so if you were going to just specifically create cards with dust, that's what you would want. On the Frozen Throne, these are the type of cards you want. The hero replacement cards. You can tell them by the angle here. But there also is, in Guru, these kind of cards. And see, this is my European account, so I don't have a lot of these. Where you always get a quest card at the beginning first draw. And then you and then you play to achieve that quest, and it gives you something that's slightly nice. A lot of these quest cards, to be fair though, aren't that great. But when you get back to Gadget Sand cards, I guess in particular I'll be glad when Gadget Sand goes in the wild, because it will finally get rid of Jade Golem, and people were playing Jade Golem way too much. That was probably the most ridiculous thing about Gadget Sand. They did introduce these kind of cards here that could only be played in certain decks. So this little banner, it can be played in 3 styles of heroes decks, but it can't be played in the other 6 styles of heroes decks. And there was different legions or groups that this represented. I don't even know how you get the... I guess you have to hover over it to see. Let's see. The Grimy Goons, you can put this in the Hunter, Paladin, and Warrior deck. So that was what Gadget Sand introduced. It wasn't very interesting. The single expansion, One Night in Karazhan, didn't add a ton of interesting cards, but it does have Prince Malchezaar that gives you 5 extra legendary cards. So not only do you have 5 extra cards, and this is a single player expansion, so it gives you some... There's real reason to try to get Karazhan and Frozen Throne just for the single player. And Kobolds, you got the single player for that for free. The old gods all have to do with Kel'Thuzul, or maybe his name's not Kel'Thuzul. Where is he? Not Inzloth. He was a good card for it too, but include uncraftable cards. That might be helpful. And this card you got for... Where is he? Here he is. Cthulhu. Yeah. The old gods all were built around Cthulhu. Cthulhu had an interesting late game win victory, but it didn't get played that much. So, like, I would get Karazhan, I would get Frozen Throne, I would do the single player on Frozen Throne and Kobolds. They've kind of changed how expansions go. It used to be you'd get a card expansion, then you'd get a solo player expansion, then you'd get a card expansion. And then when Nguru came out, they said we're not going to do any solo expansions anymore. And when Frozen Throne came out, it's a card expansion with a solo expansion, and the same was true for Cabal. The difference, I believe, though, is Frozen Throne, I think, had less cards. When you look at the shop, if you, for some reason, haven't bought the Welcome Bundle with real money, I think that probably would be good. You can buy a bunch of Kobolds and Catacombs, and then, like, Knights of the Frozen Throne and Gadget Sand and Old Gods are purchasable through the shop. But you can purchase the older ones that, like, the tournament ones and such via the Battle.net applicator. You can only buy Karazhan right now, so some of these older solo player expansions you may not be able to buy it. I wouldn't recommend anybody ever spending money on the hero expansions. Let's get back into the game. Arena is expensive, but it also kind of... Oh, I could play a wild Murloc deck. Let's try that. Let's see. A lot of people talking while I was talking. The guy with the Japanese names is asking people to friend him. Like, I won't be able to friend him because my chat is not on my computer. I'm looking at the chat on my phone. So copying that text over, I'll have to do that later. Yeah, Trevor is also on his phone. Do caps matter? I don't think caps matter, but they might. As far as Battle.net accounts. They really shouldn't, but you do put the number sign in. Try a space, and if it doesn't work, don't put a space. You don't put a space. Name first. They made it too complicated, haha. It is a bad system. Like, it doesn't integrate with much of anything. Discord tries to integrate your Battle.net things with, say, your Steam account or your Twitch account, but otherwise, there's really nothing there. Oh, there's a nice free victory. Win streak bonus, even. Let's see. Well, 2 more victories. But yeah, having it where you pick your own person and it work, then after you pick your name, it gives you a random number. It's just crazy. And he said, Era said he sent me one, and the only one I see on the European account is Ghost Dragon number 221931, and that seems like that is a really long number. That every other number I've ever seen has been, well, I guess maybe they started adding some longer numbers into this. Well, everybody I had seen had 4-digit. So, Era, is your Japanese name when it translates to English Ghost Dragon? Because that might be what people need to type, is capital Ghost Dragon number 221931. Either that or somebody else just randomly friended me, which, with the way this stream is going, I wouldn't be yeah, Era is Ghost Dragon, and that's not the Japanese name, guys. So. Oh yeah, I'm getting confused here. Trevor Lewis says, I don't know the number off the top of your head. Well, you can launch into Hearthstone and see it. And of course, to add friends, you click here. And that works that way. Trevor says, free win, smiley face. And then there's a King Louie. Trevor says, King Louie, I'm gonna add you in a bit. Let's see. Alright, well, maybe if this chat gets everything settled and everybody friends everybody, I can get to the actual news today. I haven't even gotten to it yet. And there is a lot to talk about. See, I'm not even gonna click see the new tweets on my Twitter. Let's not start with the political news. The game Vampire, spelled V-A-M-P-Y-R, that's a CD vampire RPG, is getting a deep dive video series. Let's see, Vampire is the RPG about vampires from the Life is Strange creator Don't Nod. I had some criticisms with Don't Nod doing Life is Strange because it was like two Canadian middle-aged men writing about a teenager and well, a bunch of teenagers, a teenage girl in particular. So perhaps they have more knowledge about vampires than teenage girls, and perhaps they can actually write a better story that way, and maybe localize a better story. I don't know, I really didn't have any interest in playing Life is Strange Before the Storm when it didn't have the time rewind mechanism, and I didn't really like Life is Strange, the first Life is Strange, because it had a very Twin Peaks twist and went off the rails in my opinion. So I'm not super excited about Vampire, but maybe it'll be good. At least if it's an RPG, it's more of an effort to be a... I don't think this is gonna work. I need to just attack after killing this guy, because this is almost certainly explosive trap, because it isn't it always. Yep. Let's see. So that's one short news story done. Let's see, Trevor says, whenever you're ready. I was here for the Hearthstone, I'll come back later. Man, nice stream. Laters. Friend me later, Trevor. Will do, bud. Okay. People are actually talking to each other instead of just all talking to me. That's lovely. I love when that happens. I feel like, I don't know if Era is saying he doesn't want to hear the video game news, and I've just kind of scared him off. I suppose inherently I can't talk about Hearthstone. I've been doing this for 3 years. Like, I can answer questions to the best of my ability, which isn't very high. I'm not that good at Hearthstone, frankly. But deep commentary on the Hearthstone play is just something I don't think I'm qualified to do or could do. So, you know, sorry if I scared anybody off by starting to talk about the video game news, but this is the only time during the weeks that I have to actually read any video game news and be an informed critic. So moving on, I had already talked about this, but it's worth pointing out that the Hasbro Activision deal expired, and therefore all Transformer games have been removed from Steam. So Fall of Cybertron, War for Cybertron, or Devastation, like, they're all gone. You can't buy them. That really stinks, in that is one of the best arguments for my massive 800 plus game collection on my Steam account, is that I just want to make sure I have these games before some contract expires. In general, if a contract does expire with Steam, even if it's like a fake game creator and you accidentally bought some fake games, which I have done, you still can download and own those games. I don't think we've hit a point where somebody sued Steam to the point where they said even people who had already owned the game can't download it again. So that's better than half of what has happened on PSN. Like, people who downloaded playable teaser, playable trailer, couldn't re-download it. Let's see. I gotta kill one of these guys. This guy. In the turn. Let's see. Paramount Pictures currently is looking to semi-reboot the Transformer movie series. So it's possible that Hasbro might release a new Transformers game. We've seen similar things where, like, the Spider-Man games all disappeared when they announced the new Spider-Man games, and the Dirt games all disappeared when Dirt 4 was announced. But there's no guarantee these games will ever come out again. And it's early days to say this, but I assume if a game is no longer for sale, in my mind, while this is not legally true, in my mind, as soon as a game is no longer for sale, it's entered the path to being abandonware. Like, and at that point, I wouldn't directly say it would be alright to pirate it, but it seems like if you can't get it any legal way, people are gonna eventually get it in the illegal way. And the whole thing with piracy in video games is already muddled by the fact that nobody, to my knowledge, and I'm pretty sure nobody at all, ever gets any kind of royalties or like continuing payments for their work on video games. So after that first 6 months of sales, every single programmer, every single animator, every single voice actor, like, all of them have made as much money as they're ever going to make, and any sales after that first 6 months is just going into the pockets of CEOs and suits, managers that had no real artistic input or positive input at all, or stock shareholders. Let's see. Trevor says, I can't wait for Red Dead 2. I would be a lot more interested in Red Dead 2 if I was certain it was coming to PC, which I don't believe it is. I'm about to lose. Oh well. If Transformers doesn't do something big, game or movie-wise, the franchise is just kind of a dead horse now. Yeah. Also, who plays that worm? People at rank 19. There's this crazy amount of insanity that happens in Wild and Standard at rank 20, rank 19, and lower. You have to really get to rank 15, rank 10 before you start playing people that are actually knowing what they're doing, and they're playing the top meta decks over and over again. It gets very boring, but it guarantees you slightly above a 50% win ratio. Whereas when you're always stuck at rank 20, you just lose for crazy random reasons where you don't deserve to win or lose. And it makes pulling yourself up by your bootstraps very, very difficult at the lower ranks. So ideally, if you can get up to rank 1, never get below whatever you fall back to at the end of the month. So if rank 1 gets you to rank 10, stay there and work your way back up to rank 1. I have a decent number of people who have friended me that play in those higher levels, and they seem to be able to manage to do that by consistently playing. There is also a factor, you have to play Hearthstone way too much. Way too much. It's roughly 170 games per month, and that's way more than I would want to play. It becomes, you have to be an esports professional if you want to get up to rank 1, if you want to get into the legendary ranks, and yeah, you really just have to stream it on Twitch and make it your entire career, and that is just far too much work for me, and that would be incredibly boring. Yeah, the thing about Transformers, I think in particular, is that Hasbro every now and then brings out like a new version of their old stuff. So there probably is some Transformers cartoon that came out in the past 3 or 4 years, if not airing right now, that little kids would know about, but it's probably so bad. Like the original Transformers was pretty bad. It was just to sell toys, and that's all Hasbro ever cares about, is selling toys. And meanwhile, they're doing the Michael Bay Transformers movies, and so they're making money off of that. Looking at it from that perspective, it's almost certain that Hasbro will relicense these video games and sell them again because they just want to make money. The Transformers games in general were pretty bad. I think Fall for Cybertron was pretty good, but it's all just to make money. None of it's to really be artistic. So if it did disappear and it was just a dead horse, that'd be fine too. There's plenty of other cartoons out there.
Too soon.
Trevor says, yeah, it's really sad how the entertainment industry treats the artists that actually make this stuff. It is, particularly in video games. It's better in movies and music, at least in theory. You still get screwed if you're working in the music industry particularly, but at least in theory they say you're supposed to get residuals. Trevor said, I just wish a Bethesda or a really good company could make a Transformers game. Trevor says, honestly, I just play casual. Ranked is just for the backs. I can't stand playing the meta in ranked. Yeah, it's annoying. Indie is our last hope. Yeah. I don't even know what you would really want to do with the Transformers series as a video game. The parts of Transformers that I liked was when there was some decent writing happening in some of the cartoons. So I don't know what interaction. I would imagine people would try to do some kind of Minecraft thing with it, and have a game where you're constantly building like variants of Transformers, mixing and matching parts. You could certainly do an RPG, because you can do an RPG with almost anything, where the Transformers get stronger. You could do an open world collectathon type game. Inherently, I'm probably not a good target for the Transformers series because I'm not a fan of cars, and I never really was. Robots are fine, but robots that look like cars kind of puts it in a different way, a different perspective. Let's see, moving on. Deep Silver and Big Moon Entertainment have announced a Dakar, DAKAR 18 for PS4, Xbox One, and PC. I believe this is Dune Buggy Racing. game. It's an open world racing game based on the famous annual cross-country rally coming. Let's watch this trailer and see how this works. Peggy 7. Let's see, could I win right now? Alright, the trailer is just showing a bunch of environments and close-ups. Oh, it's not just dune buggies though, it's also for ATVs and big trucks and like a variety of cars driving over mostly what looks like a desert. It might be good, it might be bad. If it's going to come down to the racing, I suppose, and whether there's any kind of play style variety.
Yeah, beat it.
Let's see, we don't really need to talk about that. That's not really news. This and take this. Freeze this. This. The nature-themed platform game FE is going to launch on February 16th for the PC, Xbox One, and PS4 and Switch. That will be one I'll keep an eye on. Although, to be fair, FE is one of these games that is a little too artistically interesting without explaining its gameplay. And I have run into a lot of games that look very pretty and very enticing visually, and then you get into the gameplay and then the controls aren't there. There's nothing that you can do. It becomes more of a mess than it's worth. The Binding of Isaac creator Ed McMillan's cat game Eugenics is back from the dead. What does that mean? Eugenics was announced in 2012 and was to be Team Meat's long-awaited follow-up to Super Meat Boy. Let's see. The game got far enough along in development to get a trailer. However, the project was shelved a year later as McMillan eventually revealed in 2014. Yeah, I lost. I was close though. I was close.
You cannot escape the shadow of death.
Somewhere along the line, the Team Meat, that is McMillan and the development partner Tommy Griffin's parted ways. McMillan went on to make The Binding of Isaac Rebirth, The End is Nigh, and hopefully imminent Isaac spin-off The Legend of Bumbo.
You will learn to fear your shadow.
Reffens went on to Super Meat Boy Forever, the successor to Meat Boy, and the game that was originally abandoned in order to work on Eugenics. However, a new blog post in... This is not going to work. There's no way I'm going to get it past this 12 mana thing. So I might as well just play this card and show my hand. McMillan explained Tyler and Tyler Gliliol, which is a friend of Ed McMillan. I follow Ed McMillan on Twitter, so I know half of these people almost as if friends, but I know I'm not really friends with them. I'm a reporter and a video game critic, and they're video game creators. and there will be a far distance between the two if I have anything to say about it. He put out a tweet that says, "I'm 99% sure that Little Monster will once again become my obsession." So he's teasing that he's going to bring back this game Mutagenics. I don't know if Mutagenics is going to be an interesting game for people or not. Let's watch the teaser for it.
Thrall versus Rexar.
Let the hunt begin.
See, Trevor said, "Yeah, but the thing I like about Transformers is it's more than just cars. I'm not a car guy either. It's tanks, it's helicopters, it's jets. Just all machines, basically. Anyways, move on, haha." Yeah. I was never really that interested in any of those things. But I certainly know other kids that are big into trains and things.
Behold the legions I command.
Mutagenics seems to be some kind of game where cats can clone themselves instantaneously. Moving on with the news, the follow-up to Celeste Towerfall launches on PC and consoles later this month, January 25th. PC and consoles. What is Celeste? How did the game miss me by?
I wonder.
That's what gets me. Let's see, Celeste is a game about climbing a mountain. It's an 8-bit graphics platformer game. But it's kind of zoomed in, and it has dialogue, text. Now, this looks like 1001 Spikes type platformer though. Yeah, there's spikes just everywhere. She's got like a double jump ability, and yeah, it's an action platformer, something that I would probably find infuriating. It's one of those games that I imagine most people wouldn't really want to play, and instead they would want to watch somebody else play. Yeah, it looks a lot like Super Meat Boy 2, which is an action platformer. To be fair, there's nothing bad about Celeste. It looks like it's a fine game. It's just not for me. Speaking of games passing me by, about a month and a half ago, there was this game that was getting talked about on Gametsu, which covers Japanese games more than the Western reviewers like Giant Bomb, PC Gamer, Your Gamer, Rock Paper Shotgun. Those last three all actually being the same company, same parent company. So there was this game that was getting talked about called Tokyo Tattoo Girls, which really confused me because in Japan they pretty much assume if you have any tattoo whatsoever that you're a member of the Yakuza. That's just what they assume. There's a lot of hatred, a lot of discrimination to people with tattoos in Japan. And there's really no, to my knowledge, fetish or desire to see people with tattoos in Japanese people. But this is a Japanese game made by NIS, I believe. And so it was apparently trying to be sold to a Western market. But I could not, for the life of me, having seen many articles about it, as it just kept getting a little bit more information, a little bit more information. They never really explained what the game was, or what it did. It was just a bunch of anime girls that you could add tattoos to their back or their arms, and it was supposed to be titillating, I suppose. But I mean, it didn't seem like if it was even going to go into any actual nudity. So I kept seeing these. I kept being confused. It's not uncommon for me to see a Japanese game and be at least a little confused as to how the gameplay is going to work. Some of these games are the combination of 3 very different gameplay styles that really don't make any sense to be in the same game. Often it's just a turn-based RPG, often it's just a dungeon crawler. But in the case of Tokyo Tattoo Girls, I wandered across it on Steam and looked at it. It's actually just a clicker game, and it's reviewed mostly negative too. So it was, I assume, a bad game, and they knew it was going to be a bad game from the word go. And so, in an effort to make some more sales, they tried to sex it up, or perhaps that was their plan all along, was to sex it up, and it failed, and kind of unsurprisingly failed. But very rarely do I get to go back and look up what happened to a game after its release. I didn't even notice that it had been released. That might be an interesting thing to do. It would kind of require me to be better about following when games come out and when they don't. To see how many games have positive or negative reviews like 6 months after the game came out, or even a couple weeks after a game came out. That would be interesting. I wish there was a site that would really follow up on that. And I want to see user reviews. I don't want to see critic reviews, because most critics won't even touch half of the games that come out on Steam. And boy, with the Steam summer sale, was there a ton of games that had been out for like years and they didn't have any reviews. Like, nobody played them at all. Also, I ran across a different game that said it's pre-order early access, but the expected date is 2016. So apparently you can have a game on Steam as listed, never actually release that game, and even 2 years after the promised date, Valve doesn't have any kind of mechanism or triggering to say, wait a minute, you said you were going to bring out this game 2 years ago, you haven't brought it out, we're going to delist you, we're going to hide this listing at the very least until you can get your stuff together. There's also apparently some way that you can list a game and then go back and remove the developer information on your own game, so you can hide the fact that you made a game. So if you like make a really bad game, everybody hates it, 100% downvote, like something that would almost never happen on Steam, you can just remove your information from that terrible game and move on to the next game. So you're not required to stand by your own work. That seems like that's an incredible flaw. It seems like it's ridiculous that that would have even been allowed in the first place. Let's see. Trevor says, platformers are good for good drunk fun with your buds, huh? And then Trevor says, damn, I didn't know that about Japan. Yep. Yeah, if you have a tattoo and you try to go into a public bathhouse, there's probably a sign written in Japanese in that public bathhouse that says tattooed people are not welcome, not allowed. And there are signs on there in their beaches that also say similar things. It's not super known because just kind of by default most Japanese people do follow rules and want to be exactly the same as every other Japanese person, so they don't get tattoos in general. Like they grow up knowing it, so it's just one of those things that if you grew up in Japan you would know it, but it doesn't get talked about too much in the outside world. And they would be a lot more gracious to a foreigner with a tattoo than a Japanese or Asian person with a tattoo. And it's not just Japan. A lot of Asian countries have only specific reasons why you would get a tattoo for religious or religious reasons or something else. So you don't have a lot of Asian people running around with, you know, smiley faces, tattoos, or just things they thought were cool. In contrast, though, a lot of Japanese people will wear shirts with English words on them, not knowing what the English words say. And in America, at least, the United States at least, a lot of non-Japanese speaking people will get tattoos in Japanese characters, not knowing what it says. They think they know what it says, but it might not actually say that. So there is always this allure of having some other foreign language that is appealing. Let's see, do we have a different shaman deck we could play? We could try this one and see what this is all about. I should just play on casual too to save some time. Trevor says, interesting. Splatoon 2 has a new museum-themed multiplayer map that is on the Switch, of course, because that's the only way you can play Splatoon 2. I suppose if you went diving into a museum-themed map, then you might get some more of the history, the secret history of the Splatoon world. The idea is that at least part of the world in Splatoon is the future of the Super Mario world, and the squid kid creatures that you play as are evolved forms of one of the creatures, like the blooper, I believe it's called, in Super Mario Brothers. Of course, it would have to be well in the future. So, and really, it's just for fan theory stuff. It's not ever going to actually connect. And Super Mario Odyssey kind of has drastically changed what people understood of the Mushroom Kingdom and that world now. With Super Mario Odyssey, we now have been shown that the Mushroom Kingdom is just one small section of a planet that has a very varied, crazy combination of things, and everything from the Donkey Kong City to a desert run by Deus Los Mortes, Day of the Dead creatures, and there's a realistic dragon boss in Odyssey that looks like it's from Final Fantasy, a Final Fantasy game. Let's see. Seems like somebody's got a watch and learn victory they need to do. Yeah, Trevor says, haha, language barriers can be fun sometimes. Let's see. Is this real news? The problem with reading Gematsu and Gamasutra, which are two of the most prevalent, like, Japanese game English written websites, is in Japan, when they release a game, they announce a tiny little tidbit about it, and then 2 days later they'll announce another tidbit. 2 days later they'll announce another tidbit. And so you get a lot of these articles that are just like, we've got some new screenshots of these characters. Here's this character in a different costume. Here's that same character in a different costume. And you'll get so much of a hype train that they try to build, whereas Western video game reviewers don't take every single press release and make something out of it. So, like, I'm looking at an article for Persona 3 Dancing Moon Knight and Persona 5 Dancing Star Knight, which I believe are just DLC expansions to Persona 3 and Persona 5. They might be standalone games. And all they're saying is, we've got 6 new screenshots. Isn't that wonderful? And I'm like, sure, if people are obsessed with Persona games, they might want that, but otherwise, it feels like you're kind of wasting your time writing that article. Of course, the poor people that write articles for video game sites are getting paid less than $30 from what I hear for writing a 500-word article, so they may just be struggling to pay the bills.
Speak to me.
Oh, here's a game I haven't heard of. Maietsu, spelled M-A-I-T-E-T-S-U, Pure Station, is launching July 26th in Japan and has added a VR viewer. What kind of game is this? I'm seeing... This looks like one of the little girl characters that drives tanks, which is a weird thing to say out loud, but it is something that they've been doing lately. Let's see. It first launched on PC, and Maietsu first launched on PC March 2016, and Seikei Project plans to release the PC version in English in 2018. So this game has been out for 2 years in Japanese, and it's finally getting an English version. There's many different versions that you can get in Japan that won't come over to the West because Japanese people love to get swag, basically. And so there's a version that gives you a 1/6 scale figurine that costs you about $260. Yeah, $260. Well, now the figurine cost you only $68, which that's about the price of a figurine in Japan, which that in itself is pretty crazy.
Already attacked.
Well, wait a minute. I have Wind Fury. Why is that not allowing me to attack twice? I don't know. And then there's what they call a body pillow, which is a long length pillow that's $260 in the version. And no, the standard version of the game is $68. The figure is $260. The bottom pillow is $188, roughly. I'm translating this from yen to English. And then the wall scroll tapestry is $128 for this game. Really, really expensive. Really, really expensive there. Trevor said you attacked the pain frog. Well, yeah, I'm not paying as much attention to Hearthstone as I probably should be. That's what I did. I still am trying to figure out what this game is about. It's a visual novel. Yeah, so many visual novels, but this must be a pretty popular one if it's coming over to English and it's being resold in this major version. So, I'm not sure what to say more about that. I guess we'll just move on. Next story, Gravity Rush 2's online services have allegedly, and I'm going to say allegedly here, the shutdown has been delayed to July 19th. So, what to take from this is Gravity Rush 2 had been scheduled for their online services to be shut down on January 19th, and now it's pushed back to July 19th, so several more months. But Gravity Rush 2 launched January 18th, 2017, so the servers have only been up for 1 year. And sure, Gravity Rush 2 isn't the biggest and most popular game ever, but it is a sad precedent to set to say you'll buy something with a online component and then that just gets shut down in less than a year. Although, to be fair, I'm pretty sure there have been some like online games, annual releases where if the servers were still on, you still were probably not getting much of a return out of it because everybody had moved on from Call of Duty of the previous year to the newest Call of Duty, or everybody had moved on from the FIFA of 2017 to FIFA of 2018. Let's see, the services in particular is you can't send and receive challenges, which you can't view the rankings, you can't send and receive treasure hunts, you can't send, receive, or review photo ghosts, and you can't obtain dusty tokens as well as the reward. So I think most of the main game would still probably be pretty playable even when the servers do go down, but that is just a real example of why some games shouldn't have online capabilities and components built in the first place. But like, I always take a very critical eye on games with online components, and I assume anything online, and I think everybody should just assume anything online is going to be gravy that you get for as long as you get it. But that's why I typically don't play multiplayer online co-op shooters. Is by the time I get around to wanting to play a game and I've not paid the $90 to get the main game and the season pass, when it comes down to something more realistic like $30, $15, maybe $10 or even $5, the single player experience is probably the only part that's still playable. Gravity Rush in particular is a weird series to play and it needs a reboot. Like, I don't even know if they really need to make a third game. They probably need to just reboot it, because Gravity Rush 1 was on the PS Vita and nobody in the West played it. Gravity Rush 2 was on the PS4 and more people played it, but still not a lot. So yeah, if they combined those two, did a reboot, made it, put it on PC, that would be really nice. Let's see. PUBG players apparently are demanding a Chinese region lockout over cheating. Let's see, there was also some missing currency as part of an issue in PUBG where players were supposed to get currency and it, or have currency, and it disappeared, and PUBG apologized for that, and the players came back and said, we don't really care about that, we want to get the cheating out. Cheating, from what I hear from the Giant Mom, particularly people who are actually playing PUBG, is very, very rampant. I don't know if it's fair to say it's all coming from the Chinese players. I could see that there might be reasons for that, but it seems to be very rampant, and it seems to be definitely hurting the gameplay experience, and so they need to do something about it.
That didn't quite.
Probably not banning all of China though. Like, that's not really a way to solve things. If that's the case, then you almost, to do something like that, you have to then write into your rules and say, new rule, you can't play on servers that aren't in your country. If you're in China, you have to play on Chinese servers, and PUBG right now doesn't have any Chinese servers, or So until they fix that problem, you would have to say new rule: if you're from China, you can't play. This is only for American or Western countries to play, and that doesn't sound very good. So PUBG's kind of got nothing they can say that will sound good, other than good news. We've installed some Chinese servers and we've moved all the Chinese players over there. You could certainly, with so many Chinese people playing any game, you could certainly misinterpret the average percentage of cheaters from any country as being a massive influx of Chinese cheaters. Trevor says, good to go. I'm gonna add you real fast though. Don't forget, lol. Good games, good luck, and have fun. Thanks for watching, Trevor. Next news story, there's a game called Black Cover Quartel Knights, and they've added a couple of characters. This is another one of those things where they've just added some new characters. What is this game though? Black Clover Quartel Knights is due out worldwide on the PC, PS4 and PC in 2018. In Japan it will be released for, it will only be released for the PlayStation 4. Interesting. I haven't seen that happen very often. Very rarely have I seen them say, we're not gonna make a Japanese version for PC. It might be a strategy though. I don't fully have a belief that there's a ton of PC gamers in Japan. There's a growing number of PC gamers in Japan as the PCs themselves become smaller and smaller. Japanese apartments being very, very small. Even a standard PC would have been quite a commitment for their desk space on top of, you know, a TV or monitor to plug it into. But with mini ITX and things like that, smaller PC cases and more powerful smaller computers, it makes more sense. I'm gonna have to look up this game and see if I can know more about it. It has an interesting pencil art style. It's not your standard anime characters. And those always catch my interest. People made a huge deal about this, and it really is nothing. But the CD Projekt Red's game Cyberpunk 2077 tweeted out on its official account for the first time in 4 years the word beep, and that's literally all it said. So like they probably are teasing something, but they may very possibly just wanted to make sure they could still post there. I'm not a super fan of having individual game Twitter accounts. I would prefer things be done differently. Let's see. This and then this. Right. So I might as well hit this one. And then this one. And then this one. And then in return. But I've still lost. Let's see. There's a game called Diabolic Lovers Grand Edition. Has a new trailer. Let's see. It's the combination of two games, one called Diabolic Lovers Limited V Edition and Diabolic Lovers More Blood Limited V Edition. Both were released on the PS Vita in 2013 and 2015, and respectively it also features a PlayStation 4 Pro support, so it's going from the Vita to the PlayStation 4. We see a lot of that with visual novels and Vita games in particular, where Vita is losing support even in Japan. It has long lost support in the rest of the world, and now these visual novel style games that were really flooded the Vita are coming over to the PS4 if they're any good at all. And Sony has really lowered its standards. Diabolic Lovers, it seems like it's vampires. It's a vampire dating sim visual novel game. I'm not sure if it really is a visual novel though. I'm not seeing any text. It might be some kind of RPG. Nope, here under the tags it is labeled as a visual novel. So I've covered a lot of news and we've gone for about an hour and a half, so this is a good point to break up this recording. Stay tuned if you're watching live though. Otherwise, if you're watching this recorded later on, as always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want to friend or follow me on basically any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below in the description box. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.